Welcome to CHUG CHOW, the podcast based on my book, CHUG CHOW, the Tattooed Traveler's 50 favorite dive bars and food joints across America, that takes you off the beaten path and into the heart of America's most authentic eating experiences. I'm Todd Newton. Today we're pulling up a bar stool at the kind of place that doesn't need fancy signage or Instagram-worthy plating, because the Texas Inn's reputation is built on something far more valuable: soul. You know the kind of place I'm talking about, right? The kind of place where the bartender knows your name by your third visit, where the cook has been perfecting the same recipe for 20 years, where the stories are as rich as the gravy. These are the establishments that locals guard like family secrets, the neighborhood joints where truckers, teachers, grandmas all gather under the same flickering neon sign. So while tourists stand in line at places that they see on TikTok, we're seeking out the weathered booths and worn bar stools where real conversations happen over real food. Like the Texas Inn in Lynchburg, Virginia. What thoughts greet you each morning? Is it the weather forecast? Your to-do list? For me, I suppose it's the happenings in my children's lives that take center stage. Then I see to my animals, ensuring they get ample attention, along with fresh food and water. Around here, soft piano notes fill the air as my coffee maker begins its aromatic ritual. And once that steaming cup of huckleberry brew warms my hands, I take a seat here at the computer, map out the day ahead, and after half an hour or so, my stomach signals it's time to consider breakfast. And for 2 solid weeks, following a recent trip to Lynchburg, Virginia, hosting the Price is Right live stage show, I couldn't help but smile, remembering the sensation of biting into a cheesy Western at the legendary Texas Inn. Now, the Texas Inn's cheesy Western sandwich is the diner's staple menu item, and it has earned the title of Heaven on a Bun. You read it on the classic menu board, it appears simple enough. You've got a burger with cheese, a fried egg on top, a little relish. That's it, right? Not quite. The Texas Inn was initially named the Texas Tavern, established not in Hill City, but just over 50 miles away in Roanoke, Virginia. The proprietor, Isaac N. Nick Bullington, was an advance man for the Ringling Brothers Circus. The job of an advance man was to travel ahead of the circus to book shows in new towns, fill as many dates on the calendar in as many cities as possible. And as the story goes, Bullington was trying to schedule the circus in San Antonio, Texas. And while he was in town, he went for a bite at the restaurant that was inside of his hotel. Bullington ordered a bowl of chili and instantly saw dollar signs. So he had a brief discussion with the chef, who was in dire financial straits at the time of this chance encounter. And Bullington talked him into selling his recipe for chili for $5. It just so happens that Bullington had been toying with the idea of getting off the road and opening a short order restaurant for some time. And with the recipe in pocket for what he named world famous chili, he founded the Texas Tavern on a Friday the 13th in 1930. Roanoke was a booming railroad town at the time. You had coal and other vital goods being transported through the Blue Ridge Mountains there along the Shenandoah Valley line. And his vision for a cozy restaurant centered around quickly serving quality food at a price that most people could afford. The place was small, only 10 stools at the counter, and it became instantly successful. So he opened a second location in 1935, the one we're talking about today, right on Main Street in Lynchburg. Bullington's son assumed ownership of that location after his father passed away in 1942, sold it a few years later. But not much else has changed. The menu's simplicity will remain constant no matter what, no matter how many years pass. The chili, still the cornerstone of the diner since its inception. It's evolved a little over the years to match customers' tastes, but I can tell you it still hits home. Cheesy Western, still there. Always the top seller at the Texas Inn. Hot, filling, and scrumptious. To say the Cheesy Western is just a breakfast sandwich would be like calling a Rolex just a watch. A gross understatement. I mean, most of the ingredients, hamburger patty, cheese, egg, bun, you can find that in any high school cafeteria. But what makes your taste buds dance is the Texas Inn's homemade sweet relish. And you can get your Cheesy Western with, which includes relish, or all the way with both relish and onion. Either way, everyone always comments on the relish. Texas Inn owner Dave Saunders joins us now. We're going to talk about that relish, the Cheesy Western, the history, the characters behind the counter. We're going to get to it all. Dave, it's a pleasure to meet you, sir.
Nice to meet you. I read the book. I read our chapter first, and I was like, this is great. Like, I can't believe someone hasn't done this like already. That's my affinity for dive joints and things like that all over the country has led me to a lot of different places, and I've never chronicled them. And I was driving by the Virginia Diner. It's in Wakefield, Virginia. It's been there for almost 100 years, but they just put up a giant sign underneath it, like Virginia Diner on top, since 1905 or whatever else.
Yeah, we'll put that on the list. That's a must visit. I love a good referral. Why don't we start at the beginning, Dave? Are you a restaurateur, a serial entrepreneur, just a fan of the Cheesy Western? How did you come to own the restaurant?
So I was born and raised in Lynchburg, born at Lynchburg General Hospital. My dad was a firefighter that worked a block away. My mom was a nurse that worked about a mile away.
Mm-hmm.
And 3 or 4 times a month, he got off at 7 a.m. She started her shift at 7 a.m. And my sister and I, 7 and 5, were dropped off in our pajamas at 5th and Main in front of the Texas Inn. We would walk in, we would start eating breakfast, and my dad would walk down the street in his fireman's outfit, to get us.
Yeah.
We'd eat breakfast in 20 minutes, and then we would dash off to school on the other side of town. 2017, I see a post on Facebook that's been shared like 100,000 times. Millions of people had seen this post. Oh my God, the Texas Inn is going out of business. The owner had put a picture of a cheesy, a bowl, and a hot, and took a picture of it on a plate on the counter, and said family restaurants for sale. And someone took the photo, and it didn't say which restaurant, but everybody knew, and everybody freaked out. I called and I said, can I talk to the owner? Because I'm looking to help out. Like, I just could not fathom a world without this restaurant. I said, hi, Eddie? Yeah. I said, I'm Dave. I'd like to talk to you about the restaurants, whatever it is. He goes, you going to buy them? And I said, well, not really, but I wanted to talk. Click. He hung up on me. And then I went, oh, crap. I called during lunch. I'm an idiot. So I waited a couple hours. I called at 3. And then he talked to me, struck up a friendship. I tried to bring him investors. I worked on it 6 or 7 months. Nobody wanted it. One guy wanted to turn it into a pizza joint. Another one, they looked at the numbers and they said, just this doesn't work. Finally, he didn't have any other options. So I said, all right, Eddie, I'm going to buy them. And this is how it's going to work. I had them for 90 days, for October 1st through the end of the year in 2018. And I told them, come hell or high water, we are going to make a profit. I don't care. We made $4 profit in the first 90 days I owned it. So we turned it around after 7 years. Wow. But the most poignant part of it in 2018 was I came in this time, I'm eating in the counter as an owner. And Miss Francis walked up and said, I think I remember you. She said, yeah, your sister, she had pigtails all the time, right? And I said, yeah. She said, your dad was a firefighter. I went, yeah. The woman had waited on me 43 years prior.
Wow. Let's dig in, so to speak, metaphorically, I suppose, to the cheesy Western. I want to get the details of this sandwich, and I want to hear about customers who have kind of gone out of their way to show their devotion to the cheesy Western.
We had a customer at our Cornerstone location who has a lot of tattoos like you.
Uh-huh.
On one arm, he has our a picture of our chili dog all the way
Uh-huh.
from a photo that he gave to a tattoo artist. And then on the other side, he has the cartoon picture of the cheesy Western.
I'm not against getting one of those myself, by the way. It's always been what the Texas Inn has been known for, right?
So the restaurant originally started as the Texas Tavern in Roanoke. 5 years later, the original owner, in the middle of the Great Depression, was doing amazing business, selling 5-cent hamburgers and 10-cent cheesy Westerns. And in the middle of the Great Depression, does so much business, he has to open up a second store in Lynchburg. So the recipes for the chili and the relish come from a San Antonio chili parlor in 1927. The new owner, when he moved the restaurant, decided to call it Texas Inn and put in 15 stools rather than 10 to expand because business was good.
Can you touch on the relish for a moment? It's one of a kind, delicious, and I know it's your own unique concoction.
The relish, as I describe it, is a sweet and tangy Texas chow chow.
And people order it from all over the country, right? You ship nationwide.
Old Belly all across the U.S.
That's
people,
good relish.
We had a guy come down from Pennsylvania the other day. He lived there between 10 and 16, addicted to the relish, drives down once a year, gets a giant cooler, packs it full of stuff. He freezes it. You know, he can't get enough. He wants to buy a franchise.
Taking a look at the cheesy Western here, I'm looking at a picture of it online. Let's go through ingredient by ingredient of the famous Texas Inn cheesy Western. Can we do that?
It is one grade A medium egg.
That's a lot of egg there, it looks like.
Yeah. There is a 5.5-inch carbon steel pan. There's only one company on earth that makes these anymore, and they're in Montreal. You can't, it has to be a certain size so it doesn't overwhelm the bun. It's a 2.8 ounce all beef patty. We get them, we hand shape them one at a time and weigh them. It's 2.8 ounces. First part of the process is you whisk an egg 12 times, not more, not less, but you can see it and they get it whack, and then boom, you have oil in the carbon steel pan, heated up to a high flame, pop the egg in. So the semi-scrambled egg goes down like a omelet. When it starts cooking around the edges, you throw on the pre-cooked 2.8 ounce patty into the egg. Then it's flipped to finish the cooking process. So you get a little bit of crust on the outside, but inside you get about a medium type egg. That goes on a burger. It's topped with relish, sprinkle a diced onion, or topped with cheese. If you're getting a cheesy, it's a regular Western without cheese. The relish goes on the bun. The onions go on the bun, combined together, sliced into, served at the counter, or wrapped up whole to take away.
Yeah, but I would encourage folks to eat at the counter. What's the slogan that I have on the back of my Texas Inn t-shirt? What do you guys say?
So the original saying of the original was, we serve 1,000 people 10 at a time.
10 at a time, yeah.
And so we said we serve 1,500 people 15 at a time.
And the chili recipe that I had when I was there, that's the same recipe that the original owner bought for $5 back around the Great Depression?
So we got two things on the chili. The original chili is an all beef chili that we put on the hot dogs. We put on the Tommy burger, and that's an all beef chili, super secret recipe. Believe it or not, I thought all this
understood.
I thought all this was BS when I bought the place, but literally the day I closed, I got keys and I got a little tiny key, and he said, "This is to a lockbox at the bank right down the street." And in that was a bunch of old paper clippings and everything else, and the original postcard from San Antonio Hotel with the instructions on how to make it.
Cool.
It's still in a vault. So
interesting. Dave, I mentioned at the top of the episode, the people that you have working for you are such an integral part of the legacy of the restaurant, the experience that diners have when they come to the Texas Inn. Can you talk about the people we meet behind the counter, in the back, at the grill, because their personas, this isn't a put on. This isn't a show. This is who they are.
I've learned through the years that the great X factor of the Texas Inn is the people that work there. When I bought it in 2018, I had 4 different servers named Debbie. And these 4 Debbies were as different as the day is long. And I have 2 of them working for me still, right? Like one of them had her own personality. They didn't refer to her as Debbie. They referred to her as Big Mama.
Oh, I heard the legend of Big Mama, believe me.
There will be no replacing her. And as I've got one of my Debbies is as sweet as Big Mama was business.
Feisty, yeah.
She's been there since 1982, and she's coming. This is her 43rd year, still going extremely strong. Her daughter works there. It is a cast of characters. I'd say that I have a combination of people that have worked there for 40 years and 40 hours, because some of them just don't cut it when it comes to this sort of thing. In a world where everything is electronic and, there's a tablet to put the order in and there's a ticket to go to the kitchen and everything else, we found it's faster to just go, can I get a cheesy all the way and fry for the counter? And then they're cooking it right in front of the customer. Yeah. So we like to say we do 5 things in 20 minutes. Greet them, seat them, feed them, entertain them, and get them out the door.
Well, I can't think of a better way to spend 20 minutes. I can tell you that. You leave satisfied. You leave entertained. You're really doing something special. Dave Saunders of the Texas Inn in Lynchburg, Virginia. I'm ready for my return visit. Once this place is on your radar, it doesn't really fall off.
It's been my passion project and what I consider my nonprofit now for 8 years. And so I'm glad to see other people enjoy it. And it's been worth all the strife since. So I'm happy to do that and want to keep that tradition alive for another 90 years.
Hey, fingers crossed, my friend. You've got a fan in me for sure. And I wish you safe sailing. If the navigational beacons happen to lead you down here to the Florida Keys, please do look me up. We'll head over to Captain Tony's, my man.
Thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to it. Best of success with the podcast and the book.
Thank you, sir. Dave Saunders of the Texas Inn in Lynchburg, Virginia, right there on Main Street. TexasInn.com is where you can get more info. Home of the cheesy Western. And that wraps up another delicious journey here on CHUG CHOW. I hope today's episode has left you a little hungry, not just for great food, but for the authentic experiences that make every meal memorable. If you enjoy diving into this incredible story of community, character, good cooking, love to have you stick around for the long haul. Hit that subscribe button wherever you're listening. Help us spread the word with a nice review. And speaking of spreading the word, don't forget my book, CHUG CHOW, The Tattooed Traveler's 50 Favorite Dive Bars and Food Joints Across America, is available on Amazon and at chugandchow.com. Every purchase helps fuel our mission in a really meaningful way. Proceeds go directly to local food banks from coast to coast. You can see a video of my visit to the Texas Inn, by the way, on the Tattooed Traveler YouTube channel. Until next time, remember the best stories aren't always found in the places that everyone's talking about. Sometimes they're waiting for you at the end of a gravel road, behind a screen door, or under a hand-painted sign that's been welcoming folks home for generations. I'm Todd Newton. Keep exploring, keep eating, and keep supporting the places that make America delicious.
CHUG CHOW is produced by the host with the most LLC. All rights reserved.